Well, good evening, everybody. It is 6 o'clock on my clock. My name is Jay Bennett. I'm the Assistant Director for Executive Search Services for the Michigan Association of School Boards, and I am going to facilitate this open house tonight. We are meeting tonight with Dr. Delsa Chapman, and I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Chapman to tell you all a little bit about herself.
Jay and Lansing community. As Jay shared, I am Dr. Delsa Chapman. I am currently serving in the capacity as the Superintendent for the Lansing School District, which involves a lot of responsibility, and I am dedicated to do just that. In addition to having the title of Deputy Superintendent, the roles and responsibilities are vast, they are broad, but very specifically, I lead the instructional division. The instructional division is encompassed with servicing all of our all 20 schools and programs. Along with, I have directly reporting and working with me, and that comprises the instructional team, Dr. Kamala Diaz, our Associate Superintendent for Student Learning, Ms. Jessica Benavides, our Executive Director for Improvement and Innovation, Ms. Cordelia Black, our Executive Director for the Office of School Culture, and Mr. Sergio Keck, our Executive Director for Special Populations and Community Engagement. And so working with that fabulous team, I am able to execute the instructional division and all that comes with that. Just a little bit more about me in the event that you were not able to be a part of the first interview. I have been with the Lansing School District for 29 years. On September the 10th, I will make that grand 30 mark. And so looking forward to that. And I can say that it has been a wonderful journey, starting as literal, some say as a substitute teacher, but I gained my wings, if you will, to start flying things in motion here in the Lansing School District as a student intern from Michigan State University. So I became very acclimated to the district. Even as a student myself, I completed my internship or student teaching, as we call it, at the Hill Center when we knew it as HCAT. And I completed that with Mr. Larry Krasinski, the former horticulture teacher at Hill Center. So these 29 years have been wonderful. So I've served from being a teacher to the director of magnet programs, and now as the deputy superintendent, a lot in between, but I will just share that with you at this time. And most of all, I'm very dedicated to the Lansing School District. I am, I guess what you would call an alumni parent, if you will. I do not reside in the Lansing School District, but because I know of the quality of the Lansing School District, my household was a schools of choice household. And now I have little ones, I have grandchildren that we are looking to choice into the Lansing School District. So that's just a little bit about me. Thank you, Jay.
Absolutely. So I have posted in the chat a link to the survey. So I encourage you all to fill that out as we progress through the evening tonight. I'm going to open the floor to questions. What I would ask of you, because there are so many of you here tonight, is to be patient with me as I work through this. So if you would like to ask a question of Dr. Chapman, then I ask that you unmute yourself and wait until I recognize you, and then I will ask you for your question. So if somebody would like to unmute themselves and maybe even start their video, that would be fantastic, and I will call on them for the next question. Okay, Peyton Stalter.
I was just waving hello, sorry.
Didn't I see you earlier today, Peyton?
We got to see each other quite a bit today, Dr. Chapman.
Did. Yes, we did.
Do you have a question, Peyton?
Sure. So I am very excited about having internal candidates. And I think one question that would be nice is, you know, you have been so involved in our district and have had a really key role in developing it. What would you bring to the position and how would you add to it?
Sure. What I would bring to this position, the knowledge and the skills that I have the past 29 years, but more so, Peyton, what I have literally learned within the last 12 months with the pandemic. And just before that, the transition from previous administration. So what I will bring to this superintendency is preparing, supporting, and moving forward within our new normal. So we won't lose sight of how far we've come. You know, many have asked about all of the things that you did when you were a principal and what you did early on when you were working with magnet schools. But as I began to move into executive level leadership, I was able, and everyone else that's with us this evening, to lead by example, empowering those within both the executive team and the instructional team to move and to build upon all of the gains that we already have made. Many of us have to reflect, and it's when I say us, those of us that are in executive leadership, we need to continuously tell our story, Peyton. We need not forget that just a few short years ago, we all collectively worked together. And I'm glad I'm able to say, working directly with schools, we had 9 schools to come off the priority list. We increased our graduation by 10%. So students are graduating with their cohort. What that means is, Peyton, they're graduating with their classmates they entered high school with. So what I would bring to this superintendency definitely is focusing on continuing, improving the innovation. We, long before the pandemic, we had several schools that were one-to-one with technology. We will continue and build on that. And as the Board of Education emphasizes, our strong commitment is to raise student achievement. So with that, Peyton, I will continue with what we started before the pandemic when we were strategizing with instructional learning cycles and providing professional development so that our teachers would be conscious and aware of culturally relevant pedagogy. And more so than ever, a few years back, we really emphasized on student engagement and making sure that teachers were able to reach or teach from the core, if you will, the core being they are the center of it all, so that we can recognize and accept their funds of knowledge, no matter what background, what culture that they come from, we would genuinely be able to move forward. So that in and of itself is what I'm looking to do in this superintendency. In addition to that, Peyton, I would say that I'm looking for a stronger connection with the community. I would want to have very frequent conversations and discussions with the community, with those that have committed to our bond. We would be moving forward to having more frequent bond updates where we would have more tours. We have so much that's going on that we have to unveil even this fall with components of the bond that will be finished up at Sexton High School with the new cafeteria, Everett High School with the new performing arts wing. So I really want the Lansing community to know, even if you don't have a child enrolled, if you're a part of the Lansing community, you are a part and you are welcome in the Lansing School District. So that's just some of the things that I would move forward, Peyton. And thinking about where we are right now in this pandemic, I will definitely have a strong focus on social emotional learning and mental health support for both our staff, our students, and our students' caregivers.
Thank you, Dr. Chapman.
You're welcome.
Okay, does somebody else have a question they would like to ask of Dr. Chapman? Well, I'll tell you what, I have a list of 41 questions here from some students.
Yes.
From Wood Creek Montessori. So I'll ask you one of those, and then I see somebody else has their hand raised. So I'll get to you in just a second, Monique.
Okay.
Let's see here. How about, please tell us about your communication skills so you can keep families informed and up to date with information.
Very good question. Very good question. As far as my communication skills, I love to write. I'm extremely detailed and I like clarity in that communication. Because we are immersed in the world of technology, I will make sure that our communication is clear and consistent. We will definitely continue to utilize our InTouch system, which most of us commonly refer to as robocalls, but those robocalls through the InTouch system also reach our families in the form of text messages and emails. What I really want to encourage all students and all parents to do is to become acquainted with our student view and our parent view. Parents, there's so much information that you can pull from parent view, grade updates, upcoming events for your child's individual school or class. And students, in your student view account, you can see all of the assignments that you've completed, those that are coming forward, those that are due, and opportunities that you can take a hold of through your classroom and your teacher. And that's an excellent question. Consistent communication. We have a well-equipped communications department. There aren't many districts in this mid-Michigan area or in our region that can say that. So partnering with Mr. John McGraw and Ms. Jenna Eberly, I will definitely be on top of my game when it comes to communication. I had the opportunity a few years ago to present at the Magnet Schools of America conference because they were so impressed with what we were doing with our branding. We have a special or specific brand here in the Lansing School District, and it's through that branding we will communicate. And the tagline that we use for that presentation is that in the Lansing School District, we believe in communication, commitment, and collaboration.
Thank you very much. So
You're welcome.
Monique, if you have a question, we can take that now. I have 40 questions from the students, so I'm not going to get to all of those. So I'll take some questions from you all as well. So
Okay.
Monique, I know you had your hand up and you were next. So if you want to unmute yourself.
Sure.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
there you
Good
are.
evening. Did you say Monique? I'm so sorry.
Yes, Monique, that's you. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Yes, I'm actually between two meetings, believe it or not. Sorry about that. But a good evening to everyone. Let me actually turn on my video. I think that's important. Sorry, one second.
No problem.
Okay, can you see me? You can see me. Okay.
Yes. Yes. Hello.
Hello. Thank you. Thank you. So, good evening to everyone. My name is Monique Noel, and I am introducing myself as the newly elected education chair for the local branch of the NAACP. And that is how I am representing myself here as well as the branch chair tonight. And so my questions are just more like informational questions, just to familiarize myself with each of the candidates.
Yes.
And try to come with more of like a bird's eye perspective. And so I'm sure you've answered this question multiple times. So I just want to ask it one more time. As Deputy Superintendent, you get to see some of the nitty gritty of what's going on in this education system in this city, yes? And so really and truly, what are the different parameters? Is it teacher retention? Is it the infrastructure? Is it the curriculum? Is it the textbooks we're lacking? Is it the outside resources? Is it the leadership? What's hindering our students here? What's hindering them? And how can we help them?
That's an excellent question, Monique, and thanks for asking. So when we put it in perspective, what's hindering our students, I would respond to that by saying, because of And you're right, there are parameters. There are parameters around mandates that we have from state legislation with assessment and testing. And so sometimes the fluid teaching, the direct connection with our students, we have to take the time and we have to be fluid and mobile in moving forward. Just the common sense nature of being able to truly teach our children. And so we would be looking at moving beyond just always focusing on, please don't take this the wrong way. We have to focus on mandates, but we want to keep those in perspective. We want to make sure that the teachers and our students have connection. And so that's why there is a focus at this point in time on equity in education. I led what we are calling our Equity in Education series, where every month we're having a keynote speaker that's coming in and talking about through openness, the disparities that our students of color, and I'll be frank right now, our students of color, they need to know that no matter who's in front of them, they are going to be respected and they are going to be taught from the level that they are currently at and taken to a level of achievement. So you ask, what are some of the barriers? Is it the textbook? Is it the curriculum? Curriculum is ever changing and there are consistent updates. And so we stay very connected with the Michigan Department of Education with that. The Lansing School District has put forth a strong effort in being connected with curriculum. For the student, Monique, and for the teacher alike, it's all about growth. And so here in the Lansing School District, we have adopted the Marzano evaluation tool. And it's not always about evaluating, but helping our teachers learn about planning and preparation and the delivery of instruction that keeps the student engaged, keeps the student wanting to learn. And so that has been an obstacle, I would say, over the years. But here in the Lansing School District, we have committed to making sure that we're not expecting for our teachers to be on an island by themselves, if you will. We are providing toolkits, we're providing resources and support to make sure that that connection between the student and the teacher becomes stronger. When that is strong, we can begin to close achievement gaps. Now we have began to move forward with doing that, but the gap needs to be more narrow and not so wide. So I would say, Monique, there really needs to be a strong commitment, which we have started, but we need to take further. Needs to be a strong connection where we're bringing the students and the teachers together so that there is a greater awareness of cultural competence, being aware of the differences within cultures. And not only are you aware, but you are respecting those cultures. And that would be on both the teacher and the student side. So I would say that right now, the hindrance in terms of moving our students forward has been centered around the need to close the achievement gap, but to have a closer connection. There's terminology in theory of education referred to, Monique, as connectedness and belongingness. When students feel connected to the classroom and connected to the teacher and that they belong and that they are respected for who they are, then we will begin to see student achievement increase by leaps and bounds. But what we can't forget, Monique, is trauma. We have, in terms of our students, we have students that experience trauma, and that's not based on a specific cultural group or the socioeconomic status of a particular group. That is the day and age that we live in. So through our Office of School Culture, we have trained practitioners, whether they are student support specialists or mental health specialists that are there to support our students through our trauma. I strongly believe, Monique, with your presence and being here as a representative of the NAACP, we need to have a stronger connection with organizations such as yourself, so that our students and their families and their caregivers are aware of the services and the opportunities that can be provided, but also just that partnership between organizations and the school district to increase awareness of what is right here in the community to help our families, whatever the situation is.
That was great. Thank you so much, Dr. Chapman. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thanks for being here this evening, Monique.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Jeremy Babcock, I see you have your hand up. Do you have a question? Again, I posted the survey in the chat room, so please take the survey tonight. Jeremy.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Chapman. I have a few questions, but I'm only going to do one because I have another meeting after this. So,
okay.
Basically, taxpayers may not agree with privatizing services. Right now, Lansing School District is privatizing transportation, custodial, and food service. My question is, should the district maintain its own operations programs for accountability or continue to contract with those services through deans? I don't know who contracts it through custodial and food service, but that's my question.
Thanks, Jeremy. That's an excellent question. And so you're right. There are a lot of taxpayers that have that concern. And just for informational purposes, our food service and our custodial and maintenance, that is provided through Sodexo, the company Sodexo, okay? And so, yes, I remember the years when we had our own internal transportation services, we had our own food service. But Jeremy, over time and due to financial impact that was occurring and funding for the school district, there were some hard decisions that had to be made going on 9 years ago. And so with incoming administration coming in to address some of the steep challenges, financial challenges that the district was currently in and or facing, those hard conversations and the critical yet challenging review of what do? We have to transport our students, we have to feed them, and we definitely have to have clean and sanitized schools. And so that was a hard decision, Jeremy. That's not to say that we will remain privatized. That's obviously conversation that would be held, possibly, and it may be brought forward by the incoming or chosen superintendent. It just depends on where we are financially. It's extremely important to have a very healthy fund balance. And right now, which is public knowledge, the Lansing School District is doing well with its fund balance, just a little over $10 million. And if I become the superintendent, I would be looking at boosting that up. I am one that loves to have a very healthy nest egg or rainy day fund, if you will. So Jeremy, we had, and when I say we, I didn't make the decision, but being a part of executive leadership, there were some circumstances that caused us to have to privatize, but that's not to say we will always be in a privatized state. That's something that would be discussed and at the discretion of the superintendent and the executive team, but ultimately the Board of Education. But that's an excellent question.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Okay. Do we have somebody else that has a question for Dr. Chapman? Okay, Monique.
Dr. Chapman, if I may, one more time.
Sure. Yes.
So one more time, I will preface this by saying I'm a woman that tends to ask difficult questions.
Okay.
I'm trying to preface this. How would you foresee yourself, Dr. Chapman, addressing or not addressing or handling high ticket, controversial issues that may come out in the media regarding, let's say, different academies, different schools, what have you? How do you think a superintendent should handle these types of very in-depth, personalized situations between, you know, students and, you know, their schools or what have you, parents in the schools or what have you?
So Monique, I want to make sure that I respond to your question. I want to make sure I'm understanding your question. Are you asking about controversial issues in general, or is there a particular controversial issue?
Well, well, if you want to know, Dr. Chapman. So,
Okay,
of course, as anything, whatever I truly put my heart into, I try my best to do some research. As I'm conducting some research, I am seeing that there are some maybe discrepancies. I'm not sure if this will fall underneath the superintendent's belt or not, because the school is, I think, is a private school. So I'm not sure how that works with private and public in the school district. But it seems like just doing some research, there's some different aromas in the air of specific like social right activisms or movements that these young children participated in. And the schools were not very, I guess, aware or of accepting of that. There was something recently where an old picture was posted online from an academy, and it was quite disturbing, and some people did feel disturbed by that. And I just wanted to know, like, as a superintendent, what is that role or that responsibility to, however that person would like to maneuver that situation?
Sure. So you're absolutely correct. Technology, social media, friend or foe, correct? So
Yeah.
there have been a lot of controversial issues that have came out of inappropriate posting, inappropriate messaging. So in general, when there is a controversial issue, Monique, as the superintendent, currently as the deputy superintendent, but definitely if chosen as the superintendent, I would make sure that I follow a very methodical process. When you have controversial issues, Monique, you have to make sure that you stand neutral. You stand neutral, and the first thing that you do is fact finding. It's very important to be neutral so that you can determine, is it an issue that, although controversial, is it opposing sides? Or is it controversial, Monique, to the point where it can be detrimental to the school district or to individuals associated with the school district? So my methodology for addressing controversial issues, I cannot do that in isolation. I would delegate and through, if it's a situation where we need to have statements or to ask questions, we do have our own internal Department of Public Safety so that there would be neutrality. I would have all individuals involved to provide a statement of their action or involvement, and or a statement of concern. Why are they standing up or not for a particular position or for a particular situation? If it's controversial, Monique, to the point where it's going to cause impact to the district as a whole or to an individual, then it may be a situation where part of my methodology after conducting fact finding conducting an investigation, it may call for legal counsel and legal support so that we would definitely come to an amicable resolve for all parties involved. Now, of course, if there is something that goes against our student handbook, which most individuals interpret as our student code of conduct, if there is something that goes outside of our expectations of our parents, which is embedded in board policy, then we definitely would have to take appropriate action. Based on what I'm hearing you say, Monique, without knowing the full details of the issue, it sounds like there may have been something going on at a school or at the school level. And if that's the case, we definitely are boots on the ground, working directly with the school administrators, any staff associated and or students with the situation. But the main thing, Monique, is to make sure that we have an amicable resolve. An amicable resolve. Everyone may not agree with the decision that I hand down as the superintendent, if that was a situation that was presented to me at that time, but we have to follow board policy and make decisions that are both legal and ethical. And so that would be my approach to handling controversial issues.
Okay.
May I
Thank
ask
you.
one more follow-up? I'm sorry.
Well, unfortunately, I have somebody else that would like to ask a question.
Oh, okay,
so-
great, no
Yep,
problem.
Okay.
absolutely. So Angela Morris, you have a question for Dr. Chapman.
Yes, I do. Good evening, Dr. Chapman.
Good evening, Angela. How are you today?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for giving us your evening. We really appreciate it.
Mhm.
So earlier you were talking about community partners and how you're looking forward to having an opportunity to grow those partnerships and relationships. Could you tell us a little bit about what your vision is in that area? What do you foresee happening? What are some
Sure.
things that evolve from this?
Thank you.
Mhm.
So the community partnership arena, if you will, Ms. Morris, it has grown by leaps and bounds. When I think about 10 or 12 years ago, we had to pull teeth to be able to partner with local business affiliates and local, not only business affiliates, but just community partners and organizations, if you will. However, under new leadership and moving forward and connecting with the community, passing the bond, and very specifically the unveiling and the implementation of the Lansing Pathway Promise, our partnerships began to grow by leaps and bounds. And so I took a hold of that in 2015, and with our district annual showcase, I said, okay, we have all these partners that want to connect with us now. We got to have a way every year to have them involved. And so for those of you that are familiar, that is one way through our district annual showcase that we stay connected. But taking it even further, Ms. Morris, with our Pathway Promise and the opportunities that we want to provide to our students, I'm looking at expanding our internships, our job shadowing, our externships, general opportunities for our students. And one may say, well, how would you do that? Just prior to the pandemic, so in the 2019-2020, I was able to reach one of the challenges, and I won't say it was a challenge because it was a directive kind of coupled with a challenge. Former superintendent really wanted to see the execution of a senior seminar course that will culminate with senior projects. And so the 2019-2020 school year, Ms. Morris, we were able to do that and start that, but then we got hit with COVID. Thank you to Robin Murray, and I don't know if Ms. Murray is on here. Robin Murray, Lori Barber, and I believe Doretha Rusher the representatives from the high schools, they were able to still move that forward. So if I become the superintendent, I will definitely be moving forward our senior capstone project, and that will be and I don't want to say the word required because sometimes that makes people say, oh, required, but a required component of that senior year where our seniors, through that senior seminar course and through the senior capstone project, will be able to be better connected with the business affiliates and with the community partners, so they will know what opportunities are available for them right here in their own community. I also want to keep increase, Angela, the community partnerships so that we can continue to thrive with our Summer Explorers program and all that has to offer. We know that we missed that last year, and so we're trying to bring that back. And it's just amazing how that Summer Explorers program, we are sought out. I would just say that by families of other districts. Well, I'll pay. Okay, well, it's not a paid program. We offer it free of charge to the babies, to our young adults of the Lansing School District. And that is a definite way that we not only give our students those opportunities, but we have meaningful impact that is the foundation of the Lansing Pathway Promise, helping our students get that one-on-one creative, innovative experience, but also allowing our business affiliates and community partners to see what our students have to offer. And there may be some skill sets, Angela, that our local business affiliates are looking for. They can share that with us as a district, and we can begin to embed that into our Spark program, which is the college and career readiness program for our littles, for our K-5, and through Zello, which is our upper class, not upperclassmen, but for our secondary students. So the community partnerships are integral. They are very, very important. And I would look forward to not only solidifying what we have, but expanding more and more and more.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, Robert.
How would you, as a superintendent, best serve our students with IEPs by executing compliance of the law and also best practices of special education?
Thank you, Is it Mr. Hovenkamp? Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for that question. And what you said, Robert, you hit it right on the nose as you were concluding your question. Special education and its associated regulatory measures and its mandates, that is not something that we can put aside, Mr. Hovenkamp. So students that have an IEP or have a 504, I would definitely be making sure that for each of those individual students, we have to make sure that the IEP is met. That's a legal document. So all of the measures, all of the steps, all of the supports, all of the programming that's associated with those IEPs and or 504s and overall services for our special education students or students with IEPs, hands down, that's not an option. And so the Department of Special Education would continue to be a very important and vital part of the instructional team, and the individual that has direct governance over the special education department would definitely be a part of my executive team.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, Erica Bushy has a question. Erica?
Hi, good evening, Dr. Chapman.
Good evening, Erica.
Being that you have a background in and take great pride in the success of our magnet programs, how will you continue to support and grow those programs once the magnet grants are no longer available to sustain them?
Very good question, Erica. So what we currently are doing, is on what we call based on need, or a needs assessment for the schools that are not currently funded as magnet schools, but still have that magnet status. And so to bring context to that, Erica, the schools that were funded under the 2013 child grant, that particular grant has ended. However, through support of the executive team, through the use of general funding, we are able to still hold to the original narrative, the original ask, if you will, of the components of those grants to make sure that the programming stays intact. And you said it best, Erica, how will we continue to sustain those? We would definitely move that forward. We do have an opportunity, Erica, I believe probably by July, there will be a 2021 application coming out for magnet. We will be looking to apply for that. And so that's one way to bring in more funding so that more schools can have that magnet status. But for those that we have right now, and it's about a third of all of our schools are deemed as magnet schools, when those grants run out, the 2013 has already ended. We are in the 2017 grant. So in year 4 for that grant, we're already planning on how we will be able to sustain the programming, the professional development, the servicing that we have through the Magnet Schools of Assistance program. Now, there may be some schools that are asking, but we were a prior magnet school. What happened? Why can't we have our status? That's not something that we would be able to just turn the switch back on, if you will. However, Erica, if there are schools that are interested in regaining magnet status or being deemed as a magnet school, we would work with those schools and make sure that their focus and their ask aligns with the current application. And that's what a lot of people probably don't realize, is that the magnet applications themselves, Erica, have a particular focus. There are particular goals and progress measures that those awardees will be held to. And so the executive team and the instructional team have to be very methodical about which schools, which theme would work at a particular school to include in the grant. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Erica.
Okay, are there other questions out there? Erica Lynn has a question. Yes, Erica.
Hello.
Hello, Erica.
Hi, Dr. Chapman. So first of all, I just want to thank everyone for doing this the way that you've done it. This is such a refreshing platform that we just haven't seen this long time to just be able to have a conversation and literally ask Dr. Chapman questions. So kudos to you all for doing it this way. It's really amazing. But so I am a graduate of Lansing Everett, and so a product of the Lansing School District, proud product of Lansing School District. And I now am a co-founder of the Village Lansing, and we're a nonprofit whose focus is youth within the Lansing School District. So I actually have a two-parter, so hopefully we have time for two questions. My first question is, what would as superintendent, what would your most immediate, if you had to, quick answer, what would your most immediate top 3 priorities as superintendent be? If you had to just kind of do a quick 3, what would your top 3 priorities be, if you were to become superintendent?
That's an excellent question, Erica. Thinking of where we are right now, I mean, literally where we are, my top 3 priorities would be to address the social and emotional learning as well as mental health and the supports thereof that are needed for our students. That would be top priority. The second priority would be to take a very close look at where we are as it relates to academic deficiency and or loss due to the pandemic, and what is it that we need to have in queue, in place, boots on the ground, if you will, to address that. And the third priority would be to make sure that we have open and consistent communication with the community so that we can wrap our arms around the students, their parents, and our staff. Our staff have, all of us, we've all went through trauma these last 12 months. So those would be my top three priorities. I'm, very connected. I serve on the executive team. As I said earlier, we have a healthy fund balance. So I'm not concerned at the moment with finances. We're good to go. We have around $30 million that's coming in from our ESSER grants, and those are pandemic or COVID relief funds that we're receiving from the federal government. So that would not be a worry, Erica. I am more right now from the heart. I'm concerned about what our new normal will be. How will we take that new normal and make sure that when the students all return, that they're returning to a safe, supported environment, and that our staff members have been supported through professional learning, so their professional toolkits are ready to unlock, but also through mental health supports for our staff. Are they ready to go full force back face to face and be in front of children? Couple all of that, we are in the business of what? Educate children. And so ultimately, that I have to have as a priority where we are currently academically and what it is that we need to do to move forward.
And then my other question, thank you, that's good priorities. It's tough sometimes when you don't hear the mental and social aspect of things, which after 2020, I'm like, how can we not? But
right.
So the second question I had, which you have all touched on in some ways, which is again, it's just really promising to hear about talking about partnerships and things like that with community orgs. In the past, it has not been easy, and it's for a myriad of reasons, why, but with, trying to partner with Lansing School District, it's large. We have a lot of schools, it's a lot of range of ages, et cetera. But it is a situation where the Lansing School District is kind of the gatekeeper to all the kids that we want to, help, and you want to bridge that gap. And so it's amazing that is one of the top priorities, is like, we need to strengthen the partnerships with all of these different organizations. So I was curious as to what are some of the specific and tangible ways that you see strengthening those partnerships, and how do you kind of see that, you obviously see it as a benefit, which is great. That's not always the case just because there's not the capacity. And I know there's going to be a lot going on, in the next coming year or so with the pandemic and all of that. But if you could say, we're going to strengthen partnerships with the orgs, we're going to make it a little bit easier for us to reach out to them to reach out to us, and to, bridge those gaps. What are some tangible ways that you would want to strengthen those partnerships with orgs?
Sure, and that's an excellent question as well, Erica. As superintendent, I would make sure that we would be consistent with having community information roundtable discussions, specifically with me as the superintendent, but also I would like to have my executive team as a part of those conversations, because each of my executive team members would have specific duties or responsibilities in their wheelhouses that may connect best with an individual partner. The fact that we now have, and that individual is Mr. Sergio Keck, our Executive Director for Special Populations and Community Engagement. And Sergio, while he serves on the executive team, which reports directly to Superintendent Sinacropi, Mr. Keck reports directly to me now as Deputy Superintendent. So I know his work ethic and how he easily connects with partners. So Mr. Keck would definitely work right alongside me, and we would have a process put in place, Erica, where when a community partner has an idea or an initiative, or simply if the community partner would like for some of our students to serve during an event or be a part of an event, we would have a very structured process where the community partner could make that request. It comes to the superintendent. The superintendent then has conversation around the request with the executive team, and then we would move forward, approve that request in a very timely manner, I might add, and make sure that that community partner is provided what he or she needs, whether it's coming in and being a part of a program or event, or if the students need or staff members need to connect and be a part of the initiative that the community partner wants to put forward.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay, another question from anybody out there for Dr. Chapman? All right, Monique, did you have another question?
I was going to say no, but honestly, one just popped into my brain. So this cranium is serious. Okay, Dr. Chapman, one more. So okay. I have a question, and I'm not sure, I don't know if there's a right or wrong answer or anything. It's just sometimes being a community stakeholder, sometimes being someone that really is trying to help in any which way they can. The person can put themselves forward. The person can help implement strategies, methods, programs, bring new creative ideas based upon their experiences. Mm-hmm. But sometimes at the end of the day, even through all that greatness, all we are left with is talk. And we have not much power outside of talk and gathering support. How do you foresee establishing a relationship between the district board, if you were to become superintendent, and community stakeholders where our voice is not just talk, but we have a strong say where we can see the reflection of our words in the actions in the aroma of the district community, of the education. How do you foresee that? Does that make sense, my question?
Yes, it does. It does. In my current role, Monet, and in previous roles, I've had the opportunity to be a part of conversations and discussions led by the current superintendent, the former superintendent, and seeing the interaction. Once a discussion or conversation is held, there always needs to be a point where we agree and come to consensus about next steps. And with the way that I would handle that, Monet, is to make sure that those next steps are actually components or tenets of action. And that's how I work now. So if I'm talking to a community partner and we agree that something needs to happen, my ask is, okay, well, how are we gonna make it happen? And so I like to talk that through so that the community partner that is eager to put a particular opportunity in place or to provide a service, they can actually see their vision connected with my vision as superintendent, and we can both see that grow. And so, without a vision, the people perish. So we both have to, being visionary, we have to make sure that what we say and what we write down on paper, or what we hit send, and when that email goes through, we have to follow up and make sure that those actions occur. So I'm real big on that, Monique, I'm sorry. When we make a commitment, it's all about follow up and follow through. And so that's a part of my methodology, especially as it relates to community partners.
Thank you so much for answering all of my questions, Dr. Chapman. I really appreciate it.
You're very welcome, Monique. Glad to.
Thank you, Monique. We have just time for a couple more questions here. So Erica Lynn.
I think my hand was up on accident, sorry.
Oh, that's okay. Do you have a question?
No, you guys have, like I said, I've been able to get some of my questions answered already. This is a great format.
Well, let's try Cordelia Black.
Good evening, Dr. Chapman. How are you?
I'm well, Miss Black. How are you this
evening? Good. Thank you. Dr. Chapman, I know that you are a visionary. You have a ton of visions and concepts circling through your mind all the time. One of the greatest concepts that you brought to the Lansing School District, and with various internal stakeholders, your vision came true with Parent University. And so knowing that, I just would like to know, do you have what other kind of visions or concepts that you have kind of tucked underneath your sleeve that you might think about bringing to the Lansing School District if you are superintendent?
That's an excellent question, Cordelia. Just like with Parent University, I do a lot of research, and on my own, I seek out, and I want to know what's working in other metro urban school districts. And so that's where that thought, and it came to fruition through the STAR grant regarding Parent University. And so some of the other initiatives, just like I yielded to the call, always had wanted to see the senior seminar course and the senior capstone project. So I'm glad that former superintendent put that out, and I was able to grab hold of that and make that vision come to pass as well. But when I think about the future, we definitely want to make sure through the Lansing Pathway Promise, and this is very student-centered, through the Lansing Pathway Promise, that our students are truly given an opportunity to see a very wide range of opportunity that's available to them. And so I would want us to increase and possibly go back to really having structured work experience programs that are going on. I definitely want to see more opportunities for our younger students, because the Lansing Pathway Promise just isn't for our high school students, it's for all of our students. And we do have opportunities for students to do career exploration. And right now, we're having all kinds of virtual field trips. But what I envision and what I dream of, Ms. Black, when I was a principal at Wood Creek Magnet School and then at Lansing STEM Academy, we had an annual, what we call Career Day. And if you can just imagine kindergartners walking around with a color-coded badge on, which identified the sessions that they would go throughout the day. That teaches our students very early on how to advocate for themselves, how to learn, and how to have voice and choice in what they do. And so from kindergarten through 12th grade, Ms. Black, I really want us to step up and have district-wide career days or career events. That's for sure. I definitely want that. Parent University is what I'm looking really to do everything with parents. So that component is taken care of. But what I also want to see is, I talked about community forums and community meetings with community partners, but I want to see more outside of the junior board. In junior board, our junior board of education, they are our student leaders of the district, but I really want to see more communication, interaction occur between the superintendent, the superintendent's executive team, and our students. I don't want students to just to know my name. I want students to know who I am when they see me. And I say that, and I smile and try not to laugh. That's what's occurring now. The students see me all the time, and Miss Chapman, yes, I'm at Myers. I got to eat too, So I just want that community feel. I want students to be able to call a meeting with the superintendent if there's a district-wide initiative. And so being an active part of the Junior Board of Education as one of the administrative liaisons, I would say the past 5 years, that has helped me to see the need for students feeling comfortable in being connected with central administration. So I definitely have a vision for moving that forward. But what I also would like to see, Cordelia, is I really want to see our district get back to the very strong, energetic arts programs that we had. I want to see our bands being in competitive band competitions. I want to see, as far as extracurricular activities, I want to see an increase in robotics teams and things of that nature at our elementary level, like we once were. I just want to see those extras coupled with academics, and that would be a large part of my focus as well. And then when we think about the operational academic side, technology and innovation, that's hands down. We have proven to ourselves as a district that we can have district-wide one-to-one technology. That was forced, if you will. However, I think that we've all grown. Who knew? Who would have ever known that I would be able to create my own bit emoji and my own Google Classroom and my Google Office? And I remember when we were putting those components forward at the beginning of last summer, and there were, many teachers saying, I can't do that. But now it's those same teachers who have the most wonderful Google Classrooms. And so in a nutshell, Cordelia, the things that I have hidden, you know how it seems like the older I get, I can tell I hide little things and write notes sometimes and put it in my coat sleeve so I won't lose or forget it. So when I think about those things that I have tucked away, what I have tucked away are opportunities, not only for the students, but also for the teachers, so that we can all grow together. Because my vision is that the Lansing School District will be the lighthouse district of the state of Michigan and shine and show what happens when you are, when you're organized and you are collectively together, working together to meet one goal.
Thank you, Dr. Chapman.
You're welcome.
Hey, well, thank you very much, everybody, for coming out tonight. I do want to remind you that we have an opportunity at 2:00 tomorrow to talk with Jessica Benavides, one of the other candidates, and at 4:00 tomorrow as well to talk with another one of our candidates, Benjamin Schuldiner. There is an opportunity for responses to the survey. I have put that link in the chat room. I will put it in there one more time here. So please go to the survey and fill that out. Join us for the other 2 sessions we have scheduled for tomorrow. Thank you again for coming out tonight. Thank you, Dr. Chapman. Everybody have a lovely evening, and hopefully we'll continue to see you through these open houses. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks for spending a portion of your evening with me. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Delsa. Nicely done. Have a wonderful evening. We'll
Thank
talk
you, Dr.
soon.
Chapman. Take care.
Thank you. You take care as well.